Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We made it. We made it to Friday this week. I'm really excited. I just got some coffee and I'm getting my day going. And today's topic is super important because I think a lot of people are struggling with depression, anxiety, or negativity in their lives right now. And so I just wanted to go over four different things that we could do, small things we could do if we're struggling with depression or anxiety. And the first big thing is we can start a daily gratitude practice. And that might sound fluffy, but I really have seen the benefits not only in my personal experience but in clients when they get into a mindset of gratitude. It's almost impossible for them to be in a mindset of anxiety or comparison or really just like that drag of negativity. And I think with all of the news that we're getting, with all of the negative stuff, with all of the extra stress, it is crucial that our brain actually finds time and space to also focus on what's going right. Because we're getting an overabundance of the negative, and the brain has a hard time like balancing everything because that takes extra energy to do that. I mean, I guess innately it won't do that when it's only getting the negative stuff. So, to put ourselves back into a positive or even what I would call a more realistic mindset, we have to practice putting positive in our life, and that includes doing a gratitude practice or just celebrating the small wins. It could also mean like looking at funny memes or, sharing something wonderful with a friend, but we have to add those little like things of positivity to get our brain back into a more realistic mindset that isn't overly inundated and focusing on the negative. The second practical thing, which sounds kind of silly, but we've seen in the research is super effective, is going on a walk every day or getting outside and moving in some way for about 40 to 45 minutes. They found that this is actually as effective as antidepressants. And I will say, even in my own journey, I've had bouts of depression in my own, like in my past. And one of the most helpful things was getting out and walking outside for about 45 minutes a day. It's just something about that magic number that gets our brain into a different state of mind and biochemically gets us into a better space, similar to how antidepressants function. And at first I remember thinking that was like such a silly thing to try, but when I did it in my own life, I saw that that was actually really effective. So I would encourage you that if you're struggling with feeling negative, if you're struggling with depression right now, please get outside and just do yourself a favor and be out there for about 30 to 45 minutes. That's it. Even if you can't necessarily get yourself to walk right now, just being outside if the weather permits is also super helpful. The other thing that's helpful is just being mindful of what we're putting into our bodies as far as nutrition. I don't think quarantine is the time to go on a diet, so that is not what I'm recommending. But we do know simple changes like adding in more vegetables and fruits, maybe adding in some more water and decreasing our intake of things that are not so great. Like we know alcohol is a depressant, for instance, so maybe not increasing our intake of alcohol or other things like that if we're struggling with mental health. Because our gut and mind are connected. We know that through research and science. And so it is important that we are also making sure that our gut is in a good space to communicate with our brain and give it the signals it needs to be in a less anxious, less depressed state. And so again, this is not saying, hey, let's start the new latest diet trend. This is saying, let's add in some vegetables, let's add in some things that nourish us, and try to stay away from the things that we know can wreak havoc on our mental health, like alcohol and like an abundance of sugar. I'm not anti-sugar, but if all you're eating is cookies right now, there's something to that. And so the last thing that I'm going to cover today, the fourth thing that I think would make the biggest difference in increasing our positive mindset is making sure we set boundaries with what we do as far as checking stocks, checking the news, being on social media. We actually know that being on social media is correlated. Like the longer you're on social media, the longer you typically, or the more your chances are that you will feel anxious or depressed. That's shown again, and time again in the research. Like, I know people go to social media typically for connection and to try to increase their state of mind, but there is actually a negative correlation with that. So having boundaries around that, or having boundaries around what we consume, is extra important. The hard thing about social media is often I think people will go to news and social media because they're like, well, I know how to sift through what's real and what's not. And I know how to not compare myself to other people, and how to realize that, like, that's not reality. However, although we are smart enough and on paper we do know better, what we've also seen in studies is that subconsciously, if we just get so much of something, even if we know better, our brain still can't really differentiate it on a deeper level. So it's still getting into our brains and getting us into comparison mode. It's still increasing rates of depression and anxiety. So those are my 4 things. Again, just to recap it, practice gratitude or daily moments where you celebrate the wins and the good stuff going on in life right now to create more of a balance. Number 2, get outside and get moving in some capacity for 30 to 45 minutes a day. Number 3, try to add in some good, nourishing nutrition like vegetables and fruits, adding in some water, all that good stuff. And number 4, make sure to set good boundaries around what you're consuming and how long you're on social media, looking at stocks, looking at the news, that sort of thing. All right, y'all, I hope you have an awesome Friday. Thank you for those who joined. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Elisa. I'm excited to see you guys pop up on my feed over there. And I hope you guys have an awesome Friday. I will be catching back up with you on Monday. I'm going to solidify a schedule for this. I'm not quite sure if I'm set on the 8:15 and 9:15 time right now, but I will be getting in contact with y'all soon and letting you know what that will be so you know what to expect. Have an awesome weekend. Take care of yourself, do some belly breathing, and I will see you next time.